okay, you y'all see good men and you turn them away, and that's the funny part to me is that that's exactly what they don't know. That's exactly what they don't describe to you. They don't tell you right off the bat, oh, this is a good man. They'll tell you like it's an individual thing, like, oh, that changes, and it's like, no, that shouldn't change. That general quality shouldn't change. It shouldn't change from man to man. What is a good man? What should change is the individual qualities that you look for, the individual qualities that you like, those that stick out to you. Whether you like a man that wants to be a provider or a man that wants to see you as a partner, a man that wants to lead and ask for submission and want to dominate, or a man that understands that a woman plays a certain role and that's what he demands of her, to play that role, not to try to dominate or manipulate. So these are specific qualities that I can understand that, when you look for them, they show up differently in different men. But the overall general consensus, especially when it comes to saying, what is a good man, should generally be the same, because you're supposed to have a sense of right and wrong. Killing people is wrong. It's necessary to defend yourself if you have to, but just going out there and aimlessly killing people randomly is wrong. Because that everybody has a right to life, who, especially since, we're not supposed to be the judges of people. So we don't get to exercise that. We have the ability to, but we don't just get the right just to exercise just going on randomly killing people. There are laws against that, but also your internal moral complex will speak against that. There's some people who can bypass that. Those are the serial killers and sociopaths, psychopaths, and all that. Yeah, they bypass that, but that's those are the outliers. Far few between. Most people will feel that internally, but that's a different subject. Anyway, so for me, I always say it's the same shoe on the other foot, where men generally know what a good woman is, and that's why when you see a good woman and you see a dude that messed her over, yeah, you men will get angry at that, like, yo, you was a good woman, but then you changed because that guy messed you over. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always say, I was telling you the other day that, if a guy who says he's a good guy, but now he's an asshole because he got screwed over by women, was just never a good guy. Mm-hmm. It's like, because they can't change you. They just revealed something that was in you that you decided to bring out. A good guy. Yeah. You were conditionally being a good guy. You thought that acting this way would get these results. Mm-hmm. You realized that wasn't the case, so you decided to be who you really wanted to be. Okay, well, this works better for me. Being an asshole works better for me. Being the type of person that ignores women and don't call women back because I see that these techniques are working, that's what I should have always been doing. And it's like, it's not that you just now got this knowledge, it's you're just now applying it, and you're okay with applying it, which is fine. But don't claim that, oh, well, I used to be a good guy. Because I see those clips on YouTube all the time. I used to be a good guy. And it's like, that's not that you used to be a good guy. You were just always who you are now. You just chose not to be that. And it's all about those choices.
You had rules. You followed the rules. Mm-hmm. But you didn't like the life you were living. You didn't like your environment, mm-hmm. because you were following the rules that you were following. Mm-hmm. Then you decided to break your own rules. Mm-hmm. Right?
And they're your rules to break. But like I said before, you can't make certain claims. And not that, people want to make claims because it's the most popular thing to do. But, some people do try to take advantage of that, because they see that, oh yeah, I really want a good guy here, but then they'll tell you, oh no, she doesn't really want a good guy. What she really wants is She really wants a bad guy who acts good for her. And it's like, well, that's true. And if you know that that's true, and you know you're acting the way you are now, then you know that you were just never a good guy. So just don't claim that. Just always say, well, I've always been this way. It's just I chose to be another way because I felt that that's the results. That would get me the better results. And it didn't. So I decided to just be who I truly am. I told you before, when I started to notice, especially mid to early 2000s, where it just seemed like it started becoming popular to be a geek and be a nerd and all that, you know. So then, you know, you turn around and everybody wants to claim, I'm a nerd, you know, I've always been a nerd, you know, I've always been into this and into that, and these things, and, you know, you turn around and you look at their previous patterns and the previous things they said, it's like, no, you haven't. You just jumped on this fad.
What happened was they took stuff that used to make you an outsider to the norm, to society, and then try to make it into its own society. They were like, oh, doesn't make us an outsider. This makes us an insider. Yeah. Only people in this community, in the geek culture, in the skateboarder culture, right, in the emo culture, only they're the cool ones because they're in there. Only them. So it makes it. They turned it into an exclusive club instead of, you know, being an outsider, being an exclusion from the main club. They turn them into smaller clubs. They're like, oh, this is where the cool kids are here among these groups. And more exclusive, right? Kind of like the whole Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts type things. Like it's like cliques and stuff like that.
I remember you said something like that too a minute ago. You was like, "Yo, I started," and it was funny because we were talking about Instagram models and you know chicks online. He was like, "Yo, I started to notice a lot more girls are cosplaying," and I'm like, "Yeah," because if you notice, that literally became a thing. You know, girls are like, "Well, you know, they want to follow the trend." And the trend was going where, you know, it was not as cool just to be half naked no more. Because everyone was doing it. Before it was like, oh, that's racy. You're showing a little skin. Da 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 da. Yeah. So now.
It went from showing cleavage to bikinis. And then lingerie. And then cosplay.
Now it's cosplay. Because you can't just be showing cleavage for no reason. You know, you have to justify it. You got to justify it now. So
just like
used to
if you're in a bikini, you have to be at the beach or somewhere where there's water, like a pool.
Yeah, because just taking regular bikini pics is just it's not appealing no more. It's like, oh, now you really are just trying to show off your body, which you know it's not shaming nobody over. It's just now they're trying to justify it. So they're like, okay, I'm going to take more bikini pics, but I'm going to be at the beach. So then it becomes a trend of I'm traveling.
Yeah, it becomes because then you can label it as lifestyle.
Yeah,
like,
lifestyle. This is a lifestyle you want to live. You know,
this is just part of my life. I don't know what y'all talking about. This is not a thirst trap. This is just me being me. Yeah, it's like we know what you're really doing. But okay.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So now, and it's just become more popular to take cosplaying on as a lifestyle. You see girls like, hey, look,
females who did cosplay, but definitely had OnlyFans and definitely top 1% on OnlyFans are now starting to dress up. Yeah,
because it's literally become the newest trend. It's like, you know, guys are giving more attention to girls who are wearing costumes of their favorite anime characters or famous TV characters. Culture. Yeah, or even something as simple as the Samsung girl or popular TV characters, and it's become so popularized, and it's like, you know, will that get the most attention? Will that garner the most money? Will that garner the most reaction?
I can say yes.
But you know, and then you turn that around, you flip it on the other side and say that does garner a lot of reaction out of guys. And so are we the ones to say, okay, we are making this popular culture? You know, are we the ones making the popular culture because we're the ones giving our attention to it? And so, like I said, when I was looking on my phone, I was like, it's crazy because, you know, I see certain posts and I see certain women, they'll say certain things and it gets that immediate shock value, that immediate engagement or whatnot. And it's like, has the norm become toxic? And are we trying to spin away from that or go into that? And so, it just made me think of certain things. Like, are we trying to get away from being toxic, or are we going more into toxic? Because it seems like popular culture, whatever popular culture demands, especially when it comes to the men's side, which is the reason why I always try to advocate for the idea of the betterment of men, instead of trying to say, oh, well, you should be better, and point the finger like, no, I should be better. I have to be better. I have to be what I want to see. And if I want you to be better, I have to be better. I have to first take the accountability of the part and the role that I play. That's how I always tie it around back to that, because, waifu culture isn't popular without men. It's not. Cosplay culture is awesome, but, the attention that women cosplayers get isn't nothing without men. Mm-hmm. Now, not saying that the women do it for men, but it's just not as popular as it used to be, because it was very niche. Mm-hmm. Now it's, man, I mean, I remember back in the day.
It's like a negri.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, we just called it dress up. Back in the day, we used to call it dress up. Now, everyone knows it as cosplay. Oh, I can cosplay this girl for you. Like, what do you know about cosplay? Like, like, a lot of girls know about cosplay, and it's because it's become so popularized, and it's not as niche as it used to be. Niche, but not as it used to be. And it just reminds me of how,
There's even a meme about that. That mm-hmm. in the future, somebody's gonna be like, oh, look, here's some pictures of your grandma when she was younger, and it's just gonna be her in cosplay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's literally the culture, right?
Yeah.
So future grandmothers, old, pictures are going to be them in cosplay.
Yeah. I'm just waiting to see men start complaining about things like that. Like, well, if y'all complain about it, y'all gotta start telling men to do better.
The next trend I'm seeing, which leads to what you were just saying, the better women and whatnot, is the next trend is basically white material culture, which is dressing up cute and doing stuff like cleaning and cooking and doing house things. Mm-hmm. So females are in their house dressing cute, changing their outfits, going to different rooms and streaming that, and that's the new culture.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this soft girl era, and there's so many debates about it. One guy debated whether it was just like, he was like, oh no, it's chameleon culture, and it's like, it's okay with me either way. If a woman wants to be less masculine because that's an issue for her, I don't really see the problem. Now, if you're saying, well, she's just faking it to get what she wants, well, that's why we're supposed to train the dudes to see through that. We're supposed to train the dudes to vet for that. That's why you vet for long term. But see, what y'all want to do is y'all just want to get in and hit it and quit it. So then once you get in there, once you're in there, you've cooked yourself, because now she's shown you that, oh, I'm a soft girl, da 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 da. And then once she gets with you, then she reveals her real self. Now you're like, oh my gosh, it fooled me. Yes, because you didn't vet. All you wanted was just to get in there and hit it and quit it, and you didn't want to properly vet and properly see her for who she is. That way, when you properly vet, you'll have the tools to understand, okay, that's really not how that goes, or you'll just start seeing things that just don't add up. Also, you kind of have to, and I say this all the time, one sad thing, because somebody said this online, this guy said, he was like, I've never met a soft woman before. And I was like, well, there's your first problem. How would you know what a soft woman looks like if you've never met one? You've never seen one. You've never been around one. So when a girl approaches you like that, you wouldn't even know. You just think, oh, I'm going to get a whole bunch of attitude out of this woman. A girl approaches you, you just think she's just going to come with, and be confrontational and
masculine energy.
Yeah. Combative, that's the word. Combative. Yeah. You think she's going to be combative towards you. So you don't understand the difference between civil discourse and just plain being combative. So you might meet a woman and y'all might have a civil discourse over a certain conversation. You're just like, oh my God, she's being combative. It's like, no, she's not being combative. But she just has a disagreement, which is she's allowed to have. It's just a human being. It's up to you to recognize the difference. But how can you recognize the difference if you've never been around a soft woman? If you don't, if you don't try to recognize what that is, if you don't, especially if you don't follow any femininity coaches, it's the reason why I follow a few of them, because I myself can say I grew up with. I grew up with both. I've had very masculine energy type women in my life, and I've had very soft women type in my life. So it's like I know what I'm looking for. I know when it approaches me. I know when a woman is giving me her femininity, how I'm supposed to react to that. I know when a woman's being masculine, how I'm supposed to react to that. I understand the difference between being combative and civil discourse. So when somebody says, well, I've never been around a real soft or feminine woman, I'm like, well, you're over here demanding this out of a woman and you don't even know what that looks like. So we have to first get you trained on what that looks like, because that's what you have to vet for. And, it's funny to me how so many dudes just want to fake their way all the way through it. It's like, you can't do it. You can't afford to do it. You can't afford to do it because now you're here, you're spending your resources or whatnot. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And it's crazy because when you look at it on the surface, it's like, well, why can't women just be genuine? And it's like, yes, women should be genuine. But if their genuineness is that perceived masculinity, then what you're going to do? That's why it's like, I'd rather them try to be softer. It's like, yeah, I'd rather you try. That way, if it works for you and that's truly who you find yourself wanting to be and you work towards that, you deserve that opportunity. Because if you're faking it, of course you won't be able to hold up that facade for long anyway. But if you're generally trying to work towards that, I'm for it. So many people just want to shut it down, like, oh, it's just women trying to be fake feminine. And it's like, well, I mean, it could be. And there's plenty of clues that it is. But there's also plenty of clues that there's genuinely women who've been through a lot, and are very guarded, and they've put up these walls, and they're trying to put these walls down. And for them who are trying to make that stride, you got to applaud that. You can't just put something down because it doesn't seem like it's the way you want it to be. But I'm like, but this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted. We wanted women to be soft.
Because logically, if you can accept a fake ass, you can expect.
Oh yeah.
You can accept a fake femininity. The whole point, as long as it's consistent.
Yeah.
As long as she keeps the fakeness, right? She keeps it up. Then it's not a problem.
Yeah. Right? Because eventually it'll work where she's faking it, but then it translates into something real because she sees that it's actually getting her the results, and she's going to work more towards it. Because, like you said, if you're keeping it up, eventually it's just going to become who you are. No one can keep up something that's just eventually not going to be who they are. So if you're able to keep it up, it's because it's becoming part of you. It's becoming part of who you are. And
play along to get along.
Yeah, and if it's getting you the results. No one's ever advocating for being fake, but if you understand that you have to make a necessary change to get the results you want, if you're putting effort towards that, I'm for that.
Fake until you make it.
Yeah, because that's what it is. Because otherwise, you're not going to get those results. And like I said before, I've seen both. So I've seen, women who you would think, oh my God, man, that's really soft. I'm like, yeah. So you get behind closed doors and you piss her off and you find out she gets it from her daddy. Like, and then, I've experienced women where they were just, oh, I don't touch doors. Oh, that's awesome. Cool, because I don't mind opening doors for you. Oh, I don't pump gas. That's awesome. I don't mind pumping gas. I believe a man should pump gas. So I've been previewed to both. I've had the the privilege. I've had the privilege of being privy to both, and I can I can seriously say that one is easier to deal with than the other, but when you've grown up in it, you kind of learn to acclimate yourself to both and adapt and understand that, your role, the role you got to play as a man. Because, most men say, oh, I don't want to date no masculine woman, and that's fine. You should date whoever you want. But if a woman you might perceive has masculine energy, is trying to be soft, don't just put her down. I'm like, that's completely the opposite of what you should want. We should all be in support of this. Like, okay, yeah, find yourself a femininity coach. Find yourself somebody that can, get you to get the results that you're looking for. Because we can't continue to tell women what they're doing is wrong, but then when they try to do right, tell them, well, that's wrong too. It's like, no, if we gotta, we gotta understand that, women like encouragement when they're doing right as well. Just like men, which is another thing too, it's like, it's funny because I was reading this article that was sent to me, and it's like, if we understand that men like compliments and stuff that boosts our ego and everything, we also understand that it works for women. It works both ways. And so we should continue to uplift each other. And it just seems like, some people don't understand that. It's like, you can't continue to just point the finger, demean, and down one and believe that you're going to get uplifted as a result of that. No, they're just going to do the same thing. The women, they follow the men. The women, they follow the men. I remember I told you that the other day. I said, the women, they follow the men. Everything we like, everything we do, they start emulating. Mm-hmm. They start emulating. We like women for looks.
Maybe not all of them.
Yeah, but a nice number.
A nice number.
And yeah, a movable number.
It's better to get some. The fact that there are females out there, they're interested in being wives. Females out there, they're interested in being more feminine and more cooperative and all this stuff. You see it a lot. There's females out there, catering to guys.
Yeah.
The ones who be like, oh, I don't do this for you guys. That's fine.
Right.
There are plenty who do. And those are the ones that are getting the most attention. Those are the ones that are getting the most benefits.
Yeah.
As they should. So.
It's funny when you hear a female says, I want to climb the corporate ladder and get to the top. You really want that much stress? Like, that's the stress. That's the most stressful thing in the world. Like, have you seen a TV show where the CEO is 100% happy? Yeah, he's always stressed.
Logically, what you want is less work, more money.
Yeah.
Not more work for more money. Like, it's like, you want to be logical. You do you. If you want to make that bad decision of more work for more money, hey, you do you. But I'd rather do less work and more money. Work smarter, not harder. But the problem is, going up the corporate ladder, it's going to get harder and harder. It's going to get more stressful. That's the thing. It's going to become more of a mental than physical.
Yeah.
You rather do your everyday thing where you come in, you got your coffee, you get on your computer, this, that, and third. You do some work here and there. You talk to some of your coworkers that you're good friends with, this, that, and third. And you go to lunch and that. Like, you rather have that.
Yeah.
The city girl lifestyle.
Yeah.
You don't want to go up the ladder because going up the ladder, you're gonna be up there, stressed, and everything is a problem.
Everything.
You would know what's really going on when you get to the top.
Yeah.
What's really going on with the business, what's really going on in the world, and you don't want none of that.
You don't want any.
You want ignorance and bliss. You want your coffee and your lunch, and your spa and your benefits and your Gucci bag. You want that. You want all that good benefits. You want to be ignorantly bliss. You don't want reality. You don't want the truth.
You don't want that truth.
You don't want that truth.
You don't want that truth.
You can't handle the truth.
That's a truth you really don't want. It's not something that you should strive for. That's not a truth you want, because those kind of stresses and everything, it's just it. Sometimes I tend to forget, but then I realize, I'm always reminded that we as men have been built to take on these kind of stresses because it's what our maker, if you believe in it, our maker intended for us. That's why we have the broad shoulders, We're supposed to take on that stress. We're supposed to take on the stresses of the world. And it's funny because, we make society. We as men make society. So essentially we make it hard for ourselves. So we've made it hard for ourselves so we can strive and get stronger. We didn't make it hard so that women can get into this in stress. We were like, no, we didn't make it hard so you get into this in stress. You're not supposed to get into this stress. The most stress and the most pain you're supposed to get is from childbirth. Because that's hard enough. That's hard enough. I've never met a dude that said, I want to go through childbirth. So we already know this. We can all agree that's tough. That should be the most you get. You shouldn't be out here stressing over things that, it's not worth it. I'm not saying you can't get your money, but you get to a certain position where you've made enough money where you can support your lifestyle to continue to go. It's just, that's masculine mentality. Men are supposed to do that because we know that the more higher we go, the more resources we can attain. These resources will allow us to pass our resources down to our legacy, which is our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to have something to pass down to leave for our family, whether we have kids or if we don't have kids, our nieces and nephews. But ultimately, of our own volition, we've made sure that we've provided for our next generation, for our upcoming. Because the funny thing is, it's actually the only way we can immortalize ourselves that we know of. The only way we can immortalize ourselves is to create something that stands the test of time. Mm-hmm. All the people that were born from Abraham Lincoln and all the past presidents and everything, they are standing the test of time. Because whatever was saved for them, any estates or anything that was left for them is there. And they can say, oh yeah, this is my great-great-grandfather. My great-great-grandfather was a past president, John F. Kennedy, all the Kennedys and all of them. They can all, that stands the test of time. Famous families and everything. Those things, those kind of things, they stand the test of time. And that's truly how you immortalize yourself. Or somebody I like to listen to, they say time travel, It's like, but that's how you immortalize yourself. Because other than that, you'll just be, like Thawne liked to say, Thawne said to Eddie, he was like, nobody remembers you. He was like, you're my ancestor and nobody remembers you because you never did anything great, And it's so funny because it's like, it's sad that you had to say it like that. And so when Eddie just boom and he offed himself, it's like, yeah, he kind of did that if you didn't say all that. Like, it's like, it made him feel like he was inadequate anyway. He was like, well, I'm not going to be remembered anyway. No one remembers me. So boom, And, so it's like, yeah, it's crazy to think about, but, if he had did something momentous, he would have been known for it, Because remember, he's from the same time period as Barry, so it's like if everybody remembers The Flash, everybody would remember Eddie Thawne if he did something big. So, but yeah, that's generally what we want as men to do. We want to leave something so that we're always remembered. We want to leave something for our legacy, That's why I like the idea of we want to create generational wealth. We want to at least be the pioneer of it. We want to be the pioneers in our family. You see it now more than ever because our mothers and fathers may not have been able to do it, but we live in a time period where there's opportunities available that they didn't have before, and we're taking advantage of the opportunities. And it just seems like women, they have a sense of that, but it's not a real big deal for them. And I can understand because we got to remember that that's not something that they originally is encoded in their DNA to take on. It's not encoded in their DNA to take on, oh, I need to get a big job because I need my legacy to be fulfilled. That's not the way they think. They will nurture your legacy, but it's not their idea to say, I definitely need to have kids by this age and do this by this age. That's how we got this whole big mix up that we got now. It's really not in their DNA to want all that. So the fact that they don't, but we're trying to convince them otherwise, It's like, just continue to give them the information, but you can't bully nobody into anything. So I think more or less just put out the idea of why do you keep wanting to stress yourself? Put yourself in these positions where you're just more stressed when that's not even what you really want to do. You don't want to be stressed. You want to live a certain lifestyle? Get with somebody that can help you get that lifestyle. But don't stress yourself. You're not meant for it. It's just not what yourself is meant to do. Because if you were, you'd be built for it, but you're not. You're not built for it. You have strong hips. And strong hips are meant for nurturing and taking care of. But in order to carry this load, you have to have the wide shoulders. And, unless genetically you're built like a linebacker, you're not supposed to carry that load. We're supposed to. And we'll do it proudly. That's how you know you got the right one, because he'll proudly carry the load.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And we all know about the load. Yeah, in this modern day society, we definitely need to do better. We need to share information with one another. We need to talk to one another. That's one of the things that we're lacking, is direct communication with one another. Most guys are not out here trying to look for trying to get a mentor, like an individual mentor where they can, do the whole Big Brother thing, right? And learn from them. That's why they go to podcasts and watch stuff like Andrew Tate and stuff like that, and watch other grown men doing living their lives and trying to learn from that. It would be nice to have more of an individual, like more a personalized interaction with somebody that you can learn from. Kevin Samuels was good for that, because of the fact that at least a lot of his older videos, it was kind of like he was talking to you like, here, this is what you need to do when it comes to how you dress, how you behave, how you speak. Like, he tried to break it down to every aspect. That way you knew what you're supposed to do for every aspect. Basically tutorials, like a tutorial on how to be a man. That's why I got the Modern Man Tutorial series, so I can share these tips and tricks, like these ways of modern men, or at least the way to be a man, a traditional man in modern day times. They'll teach you the history, teach you how it used to be compared to how it is now, and how you can still incorporate a lot of the old traditional men things to nowadays, to apply it now. Obviously, we're not back in the old days where, war and stuff like that. So, so they're like but things can still happen. There are equivalents to the past that exist now. But ultimately, we got to remember that, yes, time has changed, but it hasn't changed that much. The world has changed, but the people in it hasn't changed much. Biologically, socially, we're pretty much the same as we used to be. The problem is when we have people out here trying to promote the idea that we're not the same as the people in the past, and looking down at the people of the past, even looking down on our elders. The younger generation think that they know better and they know more than the older generation, but they do not. It has been proven time and time again historically that the younger generation always thinks they're smarter than the past generation, but don't realize the only way you get smarter than the last generation is by learning from the last generation. Learn from their mistakes. Learn from their achievements and accomplishments. Learn right from wrong from the past. Then you can move forward in the future. And then you're supposed to do the same thing, right? The next generation after you is supposed to learn from you. And they're supposed to learn from you what you learned from our generation. And what we learned, what we taught you, was the stuff we learned from our past generation. Like, the idea is the human race is supposed to move knowledge and information forward. step by step, one person to the next, one person to the next. So when Sir Isaac Newton, had that epiphany with the whole, what goes up must come down type thing, with the whole gravity, with the apple thing, that information, that knowledge was recorded and passed down to the generations. Most people now know about slavery but never experienced it, yet they want to complain about it. They want to have issues with it. They want to have issues with the Holocaust. They want to have issues with civil rights. They want to have issues with, even just traditional husband and wife roles. They want to complain about the past when they don't know nothing about it, because it's like you weren't there. You heard about it. That's all you know. You know that it existed, but do not assume you know what was going on. Don't assume that everything in the past that is told to you was bad was perceived bad by those who were involved. Not every bad guy sees themselves as a bad guy. Just like not every good guy sees themselves as a good guy, right? There's always an outer perception. One person's villain is another person's hero, and vice versa. That's why it's not surprising there's multiple religions, because multiple point of views, people seeing life differently, seeing it from different lenses. That's why it's not surprising how people who spend more time on the internet, they see the world differently than people who don't spend a lot of time on the internet. So you have that divide. So because of the internet, we have that divide. We have people in society that literally around you, when you look around, because you put your phone in your pocket and you're looking around and you're like, literally no one's looking at each other. They probably don't even realize that I'm here. They don't realize that the other person's in front of them. They're just too busy being online that their perception, their reality is literally what's on the screen on their phone. And their mind is literally tethered to what's on their phone, not to what's going on around them. I've been in scenarios where, I'll be on my phone too, just like everyone else, but I'll hear something. Like somebody just like, hey, leave me alone. And I'll pay attention, but everybody else, I notice, doesn't flinch. They just stay on their phone, totally ignoring what's going on around them. But I'm hearing somebody sounding like they're in trouble. And sometimes they take me out, or sometimes they're just, overreacting to a certain situation. Like, don't touch me. And it's just be like two crackheads or something. It's like, oh, okay. They're just being loud. But again, no one's paying attention, no one's caring. I see the young people, right? The young generation, the way the boys and the girls, how they interact with one another, it's very out of pocket. One, it's more like what you see online. They act and reflect the toxicity you see online, and it's like, the gender war is more predominant in the younger generation than it is in the older generation. Us older people are wiser, and we're like, we shouldn't be disagreeing with each other. We shouldn't be not understanding one another. We shouldn't be ignoring what the other person, the other gender, wants, or, likes and dislikes, that kind of stuff. Like, we know better. We know that, nothing's perfect, so we gotta make do. We gotta compromise. A lot of times we see that, like online, you got adults trying to work things out, trying to talk about certain adult topics, certain issues that we're trying to resolve, and then you literally have children, people under the age of 18, coming into the conversations and talking about it, trying to be involved in the conversations. Like, this is grown folks conversations. You're 15, stay out of it. You got 28-year-olds, 41-year-olds, having a conversation, and you think you as a 15-year-old can come in and have something to say. It's like, you have nothing to say here. This is our world, not yours. Until you're 18 or older, you're not an adult yet. Since you're not an adult yet, you're not part of the adult world, or the real world. The real world is the adult world. You're under the age of 18, you're still a child. So stay in your child world. Go play Fortnite and be happy. Don't worry about what's going on in the world. That's our problem, not yours. It's our lives, not yours. It's our world, not yours. Once you get to our age, then it's your turn. Then it's your world. Then it's your problems. Then you deal with it. Then you talk with it. And you talk with people within your world, right? Don't talk to us about what we're doing, what's going on with our relationships, or lack of. That's on us. That's our lives, to stay out of it. And that's the thing. You literally have too many people in other people's business. And it's not too much of a problem, when it's adults, because more likely maybe they're just going to give some advice. Where's the wisdom? And we should all listen to, advice from one another, because that's how we grow. But definitely should not have adults and children interacting, especially when it comes to adult-related topics and activities. And that's one of the issues I see on TikTok, is that there is no divide. There is no age separation, where we separate the young from the old that way. The activities and the issues of the old have nothing to do with, doesn't involve the children, because the children have nothing to do with it. It's none of their business. It's stuff that they probably won't ever have to worry about, because one, either we'll already solve it by the time they're old enough, so we already have the solutions for them, so then they'll just follow our lead, or it'll just maintain to be our problem, and it won't be their problem, because they'll do better and they'll be better. But literally having like 15-year-old boys and girls talking about not dating, not getting into marriage, not respecting the other gender, this type of nonsense, like, you're too young to be thinking that way.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be wanting to be friends, wanting to respect one another, want to hang out, want to get to know each other, want to have a happy life. I don't want to be miserable.
It's funny, right? Because remember when our teen years was just about networking? Like, that's what your teen years is supposed to be, about networking.
It was about building your team, yeah.
Yeah, because
squad.
Yeah, because you knew that growing up, number one, you can't make it just by yourself on your own. And you knew the idea that once you did become an adult and you did get a job and all that, you wanted to work with, you had to learn to work with other people, work around other people. So you generally use your teen years to get to know different people, different personalities, find out what you attract, what you repel, the type of people you're supposed to be around. So I totally agree with you, especially in that aspect, because one of the confusions I see, I'm not on TikTok, but one of the confusions I see coming out of TikTok is that, so many things on TikTok get popular, that's popularized by children, that are taken on by adults. And because there's no separation with that, it all becomes one mix. And so now it breeds a culture where, kids and adults are essentially just in one pot. And when you see things and you see messages and you see teenage boys saying, I can't stand women, and you're like, you're 15. The F do you mean you don't stand women? And you see teenage girls and stuff. Yeah, when I grow up, I don't need no man. Like, you're 15. Go sell Girl Scout cookies or something. I don't know. But, besides the fact that you're thinking like that and your mentality is so messed up, what you really should be doing is trying to find out more things about you, because you're at the age where you're still discovering you. No matter what society tells you, especially if you're trying to grow up quick, which I still encourage children to stop doing. Every chance I get, nieces, nephews, all like, please, whatever you do, don't want to be an adult. I know I make it look fun sometimes because you see me, I can come out late and everything. Yeah, that's the good part, until you realize that, but also I gotta pay bills, and bills never stop coming. Also, I gotta go to work, and work doesn't stop calling you. Also, I gotta stay up to date on everything, because I gotta stay up to date on my vaccinations and going to the hospital, going to the doctors, and keeping up appointments. And my shoes break, I gotta go buy new shoes. And if you got a car, you gotta make sure you pay your pay for the gas, pay your insurance. If you don't have a car, make sure you have transportation money, because you have to get to the places you have to go, because you have to live life. One thing about being an adult is it doesn't stop. It never stops. Because once you turn into an adult, there is no going backwards. Once you could be a child for a long time, but once you turn an adult, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. You're just an adult until the day you start feeling the walls close in. And then you're like, no. But it's the truth though.
Yep, adulthood is the longest time frame you're gonna have in your life.
It's
childhood is short.
Childhood
is long.
So
don't be in a hurry.
Oh man, that was the biggest mistake I ever made. I wanted to be an adult so bad. I'm like,
the difference, however, is if you understand. If you understand what you want to do. See, I had a purpose. So at a young age, I already knew what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So it's like, I want to become an adult because there's things I want to do and I wanted to do it. Yeah. It wasn't about like, I want to have fun or I want to stay out late or I want to make my own rules. No, it was like, I want to make the world a better place. I want to solve problems. I want to do the adult stuff, right? Build businesses, run them, help people, make the world a better place. Go to space, so all that stuff. The stuff you see, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and I want to do that. It's like, to do that, I have to be an adult. You can't be a kid doing that. So it's like, I want to grow up so that I can start doing that stuff. But while I was young, I took the time like, okay, well, I got prepared for my old age, for my adulthood. So start learning as much as I can now. I have free time while I'm living in my mom's house as a kid and get as much knowledge and information and learn as much as possible. Enjoy my free time, have some fun, find out what I like, what I dislike, and, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to the ladies, figure out, what kind of type of woman I want, for a wife when I get old, and so forth and so forth, and plan all that out. So it's like I spend, my time preparing for my old age. So I was already ahead of my time, and now I'm there, and now I'm doing the things that I plan to do, and doing, that's the thing I'm doing. Every day I got something to do. So that's a good thing. Most guys in my age don't know what to do. They got nothing to do. They want a lot of stuff they want to do a lot of stuff in life, but they don't know how to go about it. And, like I said, they don't have nothing to do. It's because they didn't prepare for adulthood. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't prepare for adulthood. That's why you got people who are adults by age, but not by mentality. So they're still out here trying to act like they're teenagers, still out here trying to act like they're in high school, trying to be popular, trying to be the popular kid in society. It's like, no, grow up, be responsible, be mature. That's the difference between a man and a woman and a male and a female is maturity. It's understanding that as a male, you gotta do more. You gotta be more responsible. Yeah. You gotta the performance aspect is important. Right? Yes. The burden of performance is an aspect of being a male species. So being a man is understanding that you have to perform. You have to be good at stuff. You matter. You have to matter based off of what you can do. Not because of what you believe in, not just because you exist. No, what you literally do, your accomplishments, your achievements, what you do with your hands and body and strength and intellect is what makes you valuable. It's what makes you who you are.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we never see that we should see more is families inventing their own rite of passage. Because obviously, if you have religion, that's different. But, a lot of families out here, they don't have the rite of passage. And so you have these boys that will turn 18 and automatically I'm a man. Okay, cool. So when are you moving out again? Oh, well, why should I have to move out? I mean, you just said you were a man, right? Men don't just stay at home for no reason. Oh, well, I quite don't got it. But you just said you was a man. You just said you was a man, right? So, like, have that rite of passage, even if the mom is not with the father, if he has uncles, if the mom has brothers or anything, or a father, if she did have a father, and even if the boy listen, I need you to do this. Why? Because I need to know that, he understands the point of, becoming a man. Especially since, they got the whole son husband thing. I believe that's also what leads these boys to believe that they're men. Because their mom, they turn 15, 16, and their mom starts depending on them financially. And so they're like, well, I've been a man. And it's like, no, it's more than that. It's a lot more than that.
You've been a substitute.
Yeah, but it's a lot more than that to being a man. You've had to be a supporter, and we respect you for that. But first thing, you were doing things that a kid should never do. You were doing things that a kid should never have to do, but you did it, and it was part of your growing up. But in order for you to get onto this side as a man, you have to take it to another level, because it can't simply just be that, And that's why I was saying that families should have rites of passage, especially when there's a man in your life that is doing right. Like, listen, I need you to, be like a coach, or I don't know the word I'm looking for. A mentor, yes, like a mentor to my son. And it ain't got to be something that's 100% consistent, but something that lets him know, there's some accountability here. There's a piece of accountability here. And though you've been through this, if you want to be a man, you've got to go through this, I remember hearing one time, and I so agreed with it. It was the one thing that was said on the internet, a YouTube talking point that I do agree with 100%. And I've always said this to myself, that in one rite of passage that every boy should go to become a man is he has to face some type of adversity. Mm-hmm. You have to face, if everything's just easy, then there's no way you can become a man. Not saying that life has to be hard, but you have to face an adversity. You have to face something that you have to overcome.
Yeah, a challenge.
Yeah, you have to have a challenge. You have to, and I believe that's why we as men continue to challenge ourselves, because we know the more challenges we are able to overcome, the more it makes us stronger for future challenges that are not foreseen. Mm-hmm. So we give ourselves challenges to overcome future challenges.
And that's what gives us our value, because if I solved a problem,
mm-hmm.
and then suddenly start seeing a whole bunch of people have that problem, since I already solved it, I'm valuable to those people, mm-hmm. because I have the solution.
Yeah.
That's the main value that men have to society, to other men and to women, is our ability to solve problems. But you got to make a daily habit of solving problems. Not creating problems, not bitching about them, not pointing them out,
mm-hmm.
solving them. Come up with solutions. That's what makes you valuable. There's a lot of guys out there, a lot of young guys that use the term, high value man this, high value man that, and it's like, do you even know what that is? Most of y'all don't. Y'all just like how it sounds, and most of y'all don't understand that it's like value is value, as in someone else sees it as value, somebody else benefits from it. That's the idea of value. So how valuable are you to society? Mm-hmm. Are you helping people? No, you're being an asshole. You're being disrespectful. You're being selfish. You're being a loner. Yeah, none of that's value. That's valueless, not valuable. That's low value. That's not high value. High value is that you do things that benefit people. Like you volunteer, or you fix things. Like you learn how to fix stuff. You learn how to cook, for example, right? So you can make sure people eat. Maybe you get into learning how to eat healthier. You start giving that advice to people on how to eat healthier, so people can lose weight, so people can be less sick. Like, I've been in that scenario where I see people who have some medical issues, and I was able to easily resolve it and help them by just giving them advice on how they should eat, how they should live their lives, so they can be healthier. Not everybody takes my advice, but for those who do, they benefit, and that's the whole point. So I'm clearly valuable to those people. And you know how you know you're valuable? When they thank you for what you did or said. Your words, your actions, that's your value. And if your words are beneficial, beneficial to other people, your words have value. If your actions are beneficial to other people, your actions have value. So you have value.
I just thought of something. It's funny because as men, like I said before, as men we challenge ourselves, and the more adversities we overcome, the more we ascend to being the person that we want to be. When do women have that? Definitely got to get a woman on, because I wonder if women have that. Like, how do you get into womanhood? Like, I don't know. I can't speak to it, but I would love to know, like, is there a rite of passage for women? Like, do all your girlfriends get together and then one girl has to do something, now she's a woman? Or do y'all just go by the whole age thing? Like when you turn 18, oh, you're automatically a woman. How does that go? Because if there's a criteria, do you believe that a lot of these girls are living up to that criteria? Because obviously we see the mixing of the culture, the mixing of the ages, where you got girls that are very young, 21, 22, who act very mature, and then you got some who act very, very young. And people will say, "Oh no, that's okay. She's a young girl. She's supposed to want these things and want those things." It's like, yeah, really, but that's not how she acts. Doing this, or that's not how she acts when it comes to this. Sometimes at one point they'll be very, very serious, very responsible, and then on the other point they'll be very, very nonchalant about things. So it's like, what will qualify them? So I would love to know that. Like, how do you know that the girl in your crowd is a woman? This is just because of the age. Because for guys, we know. We all of us guys know. Oh, he's the immature one. He's the one that doesn't get it. We're cool with him, but we know there's things there's adult things we can do. We can't take him to, because we understand his place. He's the one in the group where we understand where he really hasn't grown to that level yet. We understand that everyone in the group has their placing, and this one, he hasn't matured to the point where we know he can handle this. So when we go do this, we don't include him. We're not purposely excluding him to hurt him. We're purposely excluding because we know it's not for him. We know this is an activity. Certain activities are just grown people activities. So I'm just wondering, women have things like that. That's
for me. The thing I know is that it's a woman. A woman is really more determined by men. Guys are the ones that determine if a female is a woman because of her actions and their validations of those actions. The way she dressed. When guys validate her, the way she dresses, that right there lets you know the difference between a woman and a female is guys' approval of how you dress, guys' approval of how you talk, how you smell, how you look. Because remember, guys are all visual, so guys will see, the difference between you and another female. It's like, okay, you are nicer than her, so I can't say that she's a female. I mean, she's a woman because you're nicer than her. So that right there is a quality of a woman, being nice. Being a decent human being. You look better than her, so that's another thing we'll use to qualify you. The way you conduct yourself in society, because it's the social thing. It's how you behave around other human beings is what qualifies you for womanhood. It's your level of maturity, your level of understanding of reality, understanding how the world works. Understanding is like, okay, guys do things a certain way. Guys, live a certain way. Guys are going to do things in a certain way. And when you understand that and you agree with it, you're part of it, you support it, then of course men will support you in return. And that's the thing. It's the idea of symbiotic relationship is understanding. One of the things about females was always supposed to be the whole idea, like being a woman is understanding your boyfriend, understanding your husband, understanding children, right? Understanding your offsprings, understanding them on the emotional level, understanding them on the physical level. And that's the thing, because of emotions, y'all are more of the social of the two species. So being a woman is understanding, you know, when a guy's going through some issues, being able to tell if he's sad or not, being able to tell if he's happy or unhappy, and then your ability to help resolve those, right? Help resolve emotional issues through certain actions. It just depends on what the guy reacts to. So if spending time with you, watching one of his favorite movies is what helps him cope, right? Helps him deal with stress or sadness or whatever he's going through, then that's what you do, and that's beneficial to him, right? That helps him. You're helping him in a way that you are fully capable of helping him. Even just hugging him from time to time, saying I love you, even little things like that can have a huge impact, because it's that type of stuff is translating feelings, right? Is through actions. Guys are more physical. We live on the physical realm, right? So for us, it's physical actions that correlates to happiness. So if you want to make us happy, typically it's going to be through something physical. To make females happy, typically it's going to be something mental. Like saying something nice, or giving good advice, or just listening, right? Just listening to her expressing her thoughts, her feelings. Stuff like that is how we help one another. But that is a very important thing to keep in mind when you're interacting in this world. To get along as a man, as a woman, is maturity. It's learning what not to do. Don't do what every other female is doing, because more likely what they're doing is the wrong thing. They don't know it's the wrong thing. They think it's the right thing. You need to, realize, what's right, what's wrong. And usually it's, for females, right, for women, it's usually the idea like, okay, anything that the female gender is doing that makes the male gender not respect them, like them, appreciate them, love them, protect them, and so forth and so forth and so forth, clearly are not woman behavior. That's not womanhood right there, to do things that make the male species unpleasant, unhappy, have negative things to say. Because there was a time where, regardless of how you see the past, ladies, guys loved and respected women a whole lot more than you think. This day and age, the female gender is respected less, and it's because of their behaviors, because of their lack of femininity, because of their lack of womanhood, right? The male validation, there's less wives out here, there's less mothers out here, right? There's less, women. That's the thing. There's less good people, and women was always the example of being a good person. Whenever you talked about like being a decent human being, we always use women as an example of being a decent human being. That's why we have words like classy, lady, right? The equivalent to that would be like, a gentleman, right? But female, women have always been, the example of civilization, always been the example of a maturity. There was a time where we used to say that, the female gender matures faster than guys, which is part of why most young females, right, tend to prefer older men, because older men are mature, right? Younger men are immature. And mature young women, young ladies, are going to gravitate to mature men, which are not going to be the immature boys, right? So that's always been the dynamic. Mature people tend to gravitate to each other. Immature people tend to gravitate to each other. That's why it's not surprising that you have a lot of immature people online bitching and complaining, bickering, complaining towards one another, blaming each other for the woes of society, not realizing it's like the real issue is the lack of men, the lack of women, the lack of maturity, the lack of common sense, the lack of common decency, the lack of cooperation, submission, whatever you want to call it. That's, what's really the problem is lack of betterment, lack of being better, choosing better, right? Stop choosing somebody who's immature. Choose somebody who's mature.